Keeping up with the latest information during challenging times like these is extremely important, but how much is too much? Studies have shown that watching or reading too much news can lead to mental and even physical health issues. Here to talk about whether you should consider cutting back on your news consumption, our favorite clinical psychologist, Dr. Jeffrey GARDERE. Dr. Jeff, good to see you.
Bill, always a pleasure to see you, sir.
So I heard about these studies. I was looking forward to talking to you about this. I think it's all too much and people should just watch Chasing.
Well, I think the studies are supporting your assertion that we should just watch Chasing because, for example, the University of California at Irvine, I know you looked at that study, they found that people who were at the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013 had developed some form of PTSD. But there was another group who was even more affected emotionally, more emotionally shaken, and it was the television audience. People who had been watching 6 or more hours of news coverage per day in the weeks afterwards. And they found in another study, the same researchers, that people who were watching 4 or more hours of 9/11 coverage and coverage of the Iraq war were linked to not only more PTSD, but also physical health issues that developed years later. So really, too much news consumption can actually affect us, not just psychologically, but also physically too.
And of course, you don't need too little. I think the just right is 30 minutes a night on My 9 and Fox 5. That's all you need at Chasing News.
So well, I think that's probably pretty good advice. As well, I think people should look at taking social media holidays. They should look at more good news in the way that we provided here at Chasing News. If news groups are reporting on some sort of a trauma or natural or man-made disaster, that they should focus more on the victims and not the perpetrators. And as well, they should provide empowerment strategies.
How important is it that you're watching and absorbing and having a conversation instead of a one-sided, just here are all the bad news statistics, which is what we've seen?
And what you're talking about is what we call in psychology catharsis. You can just take that information in and then you internalize it, and that begins to hurt you psychologically and even physically because of the mind-body connection. But if you're able to digest it and talk about it to someone else, then what you're doing is actually processing in a very positive way.
Thank you, Doc. Appreciate you.
Thank you.